You're listening to Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270 KIML. Call Don right now, 682-1270.
News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show, and I want to welcome to the show. I believe on the line we should have Liz Cheney. Are you there?
I am. Hi, Don. How are you?
Good. Good morning. I'm glad to.
Good morning.
Glad to hear from you. I'm glad you're taking a little bit of time to talk to us this morning. I'll just kind of start off. Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to run for Senate this particular race this time?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Great to be with you this morning. And I thought long and hard about getting into this race, and ultimately decided to do it because I'm very concerned about the policies of the Obama administration, the policies coming out of Washington, and the impact that those are having on our lives here in Wyoming, and the massive encroachment of the federal government. Whether you're talking about the role of the EPA in coal, in hurting our ability to continue to produce coal, the extent to which it looks like we're going to have coal-fired power plants that are going to be put completely out of business because of this president's new regulation. Whether you're talking about the impact of the EPA and other environmental regulations on agriculture, it's across the board an assault on our way of life, an assault on our freedoms, and we get to the point where we really need to stand up and fight. And from my perspective, I think we simply can't go along to get along anymore. We can't continue business as usual in Washington. We've had now 4.5 years of this administration, and things have gotten worse day by day by day. And if we don't stand and fight now, I worry that we are not going to recognize the country. We certainly will not enjoy the freedoms that have made this nation great for so many years. So that's why I decided to get into this race.
And I'll be honest, I believe a good portion of our listeners would probably heartily agree with you with most of that. I know I do, especially on the coal issue. That seems to be the latest thing, at least. I mean, it's a never-ending series of things that the administration is trying to do. But why coal and why now? I guess that's the question I would have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what the administration is doing, first of all, is clearly a war on coal. It's a war on fossil fuels. In many ways, you could describe it as a war on Wyoming. And when you look at what's going to be necessary to fight back, they have no qualms at all about creating complete devastation of the Wyoming economy by destroying the coal industry. If we want to fight back, we need a voice in Washington who can mobilize people beyond Wyoming. We need somebody who can say, wait a minute, this isn't going to be just devastating for Wyoming. If you use electricity, your electricity prices are going to go up. You're going to have brownouts across the country. If we allow this president's policies to continue, and if we allow him to be successful at killing our coal industry, not just lost jobs and lost economic power here in Wyoming, it is a loss for the nation, and we simply have to prevent it. And we're not going to prevent it if we just continue business as usual. This president is simply too dedicated to helping his environmentalist allies change the way that this nation operates. He doesn't care if his energy policies are hurting us economically, and it's going to require a broad mobilization, a real dedication, not to burying our heads in the sand, but to fighting back.
Sure. So I guess the next question would be, what would you say is the main difference with how you would do things from how Senator Enzi is doing things right now?
Well, look, I think that people are going to have to just make the decision whether or not you feel that over the last 4.5 years you've been in a position where you feel as though the Obama administration has been able to aggressively impinge upon and encroach upon our freedoms, and whether you feel that people that are representing you have done a sufficient job in pushing back. And, my view is that, I think Senator Enzi has served the state for 18 years. I certainly respect that, but I think it's time for a change. I think that it's time for a new generation, to come to the plate, a new generation of leadership to say that's it. Enough is enough in terms of these policies coming out of the president. And if anything, we've seen regulations grow. We've seen the role of the federal government grow. We've seen taxes grow. All of which are going in exactly the wrong direction for this nation.
So,
our state.
Oh, sure. Would you say? I guess the main difference then would be that you have I guess you would have a higher national visibility that would be able to kind of represent Wyoming on a national level. I guess a little bit better.
Look, what I have been very dedicated to doing, what I'm doing out on the campaign trail, is explaining to people why I'm running. And why I think this is an important race, and why we can't afford to wait a moment longer, to get into this fight. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I think that people are going to make their own decisions and determinations about the strengths and weaknesses of each individual candidate in this race. But my view is, we can't continue business as usual. We've had an awful lot of years of business as usual, and it's simply time for us to say we will not allow this president to continue to take away our freedoms. We won't allow this president to continue to grow the size of the federal budget and the economy and the federal government, or the role of the federal government in the economy beyond anything that we recognize or can tolerate, that we're going to stand and fight and push back against that.
Sure. Okay. Now, this was one you might not have had anyone ask you about yet, but when we were covering your announcement last week, a lot of our callers mentioned that Senator Enzi was one of the sponsors, and I believe he authored the Marketplace Fairness Act, the Internet Sales Tax Bill. Would you support that? If you were, if you were in the Senate when the time came up for it to come up for a vote, would you support that bill?
I would not. I think it's very important for us to find ways to help ensure that we've got a level playing field for our bricks and mortar businesses. But I do not believe that looking for ways to take more money out of the pockets of the people of Wyoming is the solution to that problem. We got to be looking for ways to reduce taxes across the board, including our bricks and mortar businesses, but we certainly shouldn't be, imposing, massive new regulations, including, allowing now in the Marketplace Fairness Act, you've got 9,600 new jurisdictions that can audit Internet businesses, and I think it's a mistake, so I would not support it.
Oh, okay. So there. I think you might have made a few fans with that statement. I can tell you. I actually started off, just a little bit of a background. I started off talking about your candidacy, and it ended up turning into an hour talking about that one bill. So it was, it kind of sidetracked us. So it was, I'm glad I didn't surprise you with that. I don't know if anybody else has asked you about it.
That's a good question. It's an important issue.
Okay, and I know you're pretty short on time, so I just want to ask one more question, and this is about the endorsements that you're receiving. I've noticed Senator Enzi just picked up an endorsement from Senator McCain today. I've noticed that a lot of your endorsements are coming from people that, quote unquote, outside the Beltway types, Hannity and Mark Levin, and a few other high-profile radio hosts. How would you characterize the difference in endorsements that you're getting from what Senator Enzi's getting?
Well, look, I'm very proud to have the backing of people, real conservatives like Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. I think at the end of the day, the people of Wyoming are going to make a decision about who they want to have represent them, and I'm not sure that endorsements, frankly, make that much of a difference on either side of this thing. I think Wyoming voters. They understand their obligations and their duties, and when they cast their vote, they're well educated. They learn about the issues and the candidates. And I think what's going to make the real difference in this race is, having a race that's very focused on issues and substance. That's the kind of race I'm dedicated to running, and explaining to the people, why, if we really value our freedoms and if we really value our way of life, we cannot sit back any longer and allow the federal government to continue its mass.
Oh, okay. Are you still with us? Okay. I believe we might have lost Miss Cheney there. I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, I do believe we lost Liz Cheney. Oh, that's a shame. I think her phone... Okay, yeah, her phone cut out on her. And that one actually was a phone problem. We'll give her a chance to call back in and kind of wrap things up. We'll let the delay catch up here. And that one... that one was really a phone problem, so don't I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape about it, but it'd be a shame. I would have liked to have said goodbye. Okay, let's try it again. Let's give this a shot again. KIML, Don Carpenter Show, you're on the air.
Hey Don, it's Liz.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, we've been having a little bit of an issue with the phones today, and when I heard you cut out, I know I was hoping you would call right back in.
No problem.
And
I think we were just talking about endorsements, and I was just saying I'm proud to have the endorsements of folks like Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, and I think at the end of the day, though, the endorsements are not going to matter very much here because the voters of Wyoming are going to make their own choices and their own decisions about this, and they'll be educated about the issues, and they'll decide whether they want to continue business as usual or whether they want to send somebody to Washington who's going to be a strong voice and stand and fight for the people of Wyoming.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I know, like I said, I know you were kind of short on time, so I was just hoping you'd call back in so we could kind of wrap things up. And I do want to thank you for joining us, and hopefully we can talk to you again sometime really soon.
Good. Well, next time I look forward to being in Gillette and stopping by in person. So thanks very much.
The door is always open for you.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Is Liz Cheney, new candidate for Senate here in Wyoming. And with that, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll have Cheryl Ringer and the newest signing for the Energy City Voices. News Talk 1270, KIML, Don Carpenter Show. We'll be right back.
He likes turtles too. Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270, KIML.